No, I think Ajax did those two. Maybe 20 minutes ago. I thought we were doing 4 today, Ophelia said, looking around for some sign that things weren't getting done. Darkspeed seemed a little shocked at how quickly the animal was dispatched. Sure, they're always best when fresh. Darkspeed looked around for Ajax. He saw him coming out of the back of the house with a towel. He was drying just washed hands. Blood just washed from his hands, no doubt, Darkspeed thought to himself. Saber, Newton, and Greco followed him out. They were all smiling and laughing. Your friends must have helped, Ophelia said. Sorry, it's just I've never known anyone who slaughtered their own animals, Darkspeed said. Ophelia took no offense to the comment. Then you've never known anyone who's lived on a working farm. Aid and Oracle were still being bombarded with questions about their home country by Olympian's polite cousins. They seemed to like the attention. Ajax, Saber, Newton, and Greco were watching the lambs being placed over a fire by Mr. Farakis. Bioforce was still talking to Achilles. Olympian was being smothered with attention by his mother. Virtuoso knew something was up with Midas by the way he wandered off. She looked out of place. She wasn't into entertaining the cousins like the 8th team girls were. Let's regroup over by Midas, Virtuoso thought to she. Good call, she thought back. Both of the girls made their way over to Midas as he stood on the edge of grapevines that stretched into the distance. With such a nice family and beautiful surroundings, you'd wonder how Olympian got the chip on his shoulder, she said as a conversation opener. Yeah, makes you wonder, Midas said without much thought. Penny for your thoughts? Virtuoso said. You don't have to pay for anyone's thoughts. True, and I know what's bugging you, Virtuoso continued. Don't let it get to you. It's just the weirdest part of this whole alpha thing. You know, I'm not dumb. I know each of you has 2 super parents, and there are not a lot of supers around. I just didn't think... Midas stopped in mid-sentence. That they started looking around so early? They don't. Olympian's family is... well, it's big. And it's not every day they have kids from the first team at Alpha come to their home. I know from looking into their minds that Olympian's family are all the superheroes on this island. Olympian's mom is from Italy, so they have to look off island. So young? They're just looking, she said. Give it a rest and enjoy yourself. Midas ended up doing just that. Lunch was exceptional, with more than anyone could eat. Afterward, Olympian gave his friends tours of the grounds. The tour consisted of the farmlands, animal pastures, vineyard, and the caves where they stored the wine bottles. Olympian opened a heavy door on the side of a rocky hill. He led his friends into the mouth and down a set of stone stairs. In here we can store up to 250,000 bottles of wine. Olympian hit light switch after light switch as they traveled. The inside of the great caves had stone arches reinforcing the ceilings which the lights hung from. Wow, Midas said. I hope no one in your family is an alcoholic. Super endurance, Squirt, Olympian said. My father would have to drink everything in this cave to get tipsy. Knock it off with the squirt thing. Don't call my family alcoholics. I didn't. Both of you knock it off, Darkspeed said. Keep up with your tour. Olympian kept walking. During the Coalition's war, we used this as a shelter for the young ones. Why? Darkspeed asked. Family of hitters, and everyone fought for the side of good. Vector's armies tried to kill them off when they were still young. Almost all of those that were under the age of 13 stayed in here for weeks at a time. The adults could guard the entrance easy enough, and they just brought food down. This place is bigger than any house. That's when all the stone reinforcing was done. Olympian was pointing to the sides in the work he was referring to. That was over 30 years ago. Was your father one of the kids inside? Bioforce asked. No, he was a young man. He was stronger and tougher than the rest, so he stood guard. My father became the leader of the family force that defended the island and kept the Coalition's war from coming to our shores. It was after he did such a good job that he was made the island's protector. He was a war hero. Is he as strong as you? Midas asked. No, I passed everyone in my family up earlier this year. That's when he started talking to me about Alpha. He must have known I'd get an invitation. Did you tell Achilles that Shogun was going to try his ideas? Bioforce asked. Oh no, it slipped my mind. Olympian started turning off lights and moving everyone to the steps up. Achilles was shocked to hear of the news how Shogun was basing the defense of a city on a paper he wrote while still in school and a conversation on the vid phone. The others then told him how the Tokyo Team Brain agreed with his assessment. Really? He thinks it will work? Achilles asked. He does. They all do. Is there anything else that can be done? She asked. Yes, have Tempest start creating a high-pressure system on top of the suspected epicenter. It will slowly push a few feet of water away from the center of where the wave will come from. The wave will then have to travel uphill to where the pressure is normal and the water a few feet higher. It's not much, but everything helps. And don't just get a list of superheroes that can make waves. Get your ice makers too. They can make a series of breakwalls as the wave comes in. She heard all of this and relayed the information to Shogun. She soon came back and talked to Achilles. Shogun requests that you report to Tokyo. If you've spent this much time thinking about this problem, they want to pick your brain. Achilles knew the HU rules. If called on emergency, family picnics had to wait. Can I use your teleporter? He asked quickly. Certainly, she said as she motioned to Virtuoso. Take him where he needs to go. Athens, HU Hall first. I need my gear. Achilles placed a hand on Olympian's shoulder. Tell mother and father that I had to go on HU business and I don't know when I'll be back. Olympian nodded as Achilles placed a hand on Virtuoso's shoulder. Both of them disappeared quickly. She notified Shogun and Olympian went to speak to his parents. That's a shame. I wanted him to be here when you showed us your costume, Mrs. Farakis said. My costume? Sure. You're in your second month at Alpha. You must have some idea of what your costume will be like. Midas had followed Olympian and heard what he told his mother. He saw this as a chance to get one up on Olympian. Don't let him fool you. He has a set of armor with a red cape and everything, Midas said. Olympian turned to give him the big, scary eyes. Midas smiled back. Mrs. Farakis smiled too. Well, let's see this costume you have. Mother, I didn't bring it with me, Olympian said to defend himself. We have a teleporter, Midas said. Olympian made the eyes at him again. But she's off taking Achilles to Athens and then Tokyo. I would really love to see you in your costume, Mrs. Farakis said with sad eyes. I'm sorry, Mama. I wish you could too, Olympian said. You still can. I can just use my power to recreate it, Midas volunteered. You can do that? Olympian asked. I think so. I mean, I did it to our dorm earlier today, or yesterday, whatever. That would be wonderful. I'd be forever grateful to see my son in his first superhero costume. It's something I think everyone here would love to see. Olympian's mother beamed. Sure, just give me a few minutes, Midas said as he walked away. Olympian followed him. You'll pay for this, Squirt. You're one behind. You're paying right now for calling me Squirt, Midas stated firmly as he walked away for a place to think. Darkspeed walked up behind Olympian and nudged him. So how's that calling people names thing going for you? He's going to embarrass me in front of everyone. You make a point out of embarrassing others. How does it feel? Not good. Good. Remember that. Midas did as he found he could do earlier. He reached out with his power, and soon enough he felt Olympian's nano armor. Slowly, he reproduced the armor on the ground in front of him. Once the cape was done, he wrapped everything up in it and carried it to Olympian. A gift for you. Olympian stood firm and looked for the upside to the situation. You know my mother will probably love it. He took the armor into the house. Mr. and Mrs. Farakis were waiting outside of the house for Olympian to come out. Virtuoso had come back and asked what was going on. Once informed, she moved in to watch the spectacle. Olympian was taking too long to come out, and that just gave the crowd time to grow. Come out here, Mr. Farakis finally said. Olympian came out of the house like a child buying school clothes coming out of a changing room. Okay, here it is. Olympian stood tall in his shiny black nano armor. The high-tech version of ancient Greek armor made the crowd go silent. From the crimson cape to the hoplite shin guards on thick boots, he looked the part of a hero. The abdominals of his armor were chiseled and polished. His shoulder plates and forearm bracers had Greek writing on them that his mother stepped closer to read. Strength, honor. She then looked at his other forearm. Duty, family. His mother was in awe as she looked over her son. Athena and Aurora were the first to start clapping for their little brother. The entire crowd then joined in, and the applause from Super Hands was deafening. Ajax looked like he wanted to say unkind things about the costume. Aurora quieted him with a look. Olympian didn't feel like he was being punished anymore. He felt proud of his costume. He looked over at the other members of First Team. You should see their costumes, Olympian said. Oh, we'd love to, Mrs. Farakis said.